Hello everyone, I'm Afrin Maliat. Me and my groupmate Mamunal Mahmood are going to give an overview of the network security issues of the data link layer.
Assalamualaikum, I am Mamunal Mahmud. I am starting my presentation. The first topic is why our network system is vulnerable. There is a very reason, many reasons to be vulnerable. The first point is individuality of OSI layers. There is OSI 7 layers that is recognized by ISO and it is mostly used in worldwide. But there is a little bit use of other OSI models. There is no familiarity between these OSI learners and other models. Because of this individuality, they do not suit with each other or do not synchronize with each other, and there creates many opportunity for attacker, and the attacker take those opportunities. Researchers or developer think that network layer is the weakest section of OSI model, but and they improved and developed in the network layer, and but they do not consider data link layer as much important, and this is ignored, and there is lot of scope in data link layer to attack in a network system. In this presentation we are briefly discuss many basic attack that occurred in data link layer. Before attacking a network system, attacker considers so many things like denial of service attack on the land, and the electronic transmission, analyzing and manipulating the flowing data, and they also uh, do not attack in single, they combinedly attack in a network system generally. uh, as we going to discuss many attacking OS in data link layer, so we need to know data link first. Data link layer is layer 2 model in OSI 7 layer model. It basically determine the MAC address of a frame, corrects the error occurred in the physical layer, and it also helps to transfer data. Data link layer has two sublayer. One is logical link layer and other is MAC layer. The major functions is of data link layer is here. We see one is framing, access control, MAC addressing, data rate control, media access control, error correction are done by data link layer. Now we start our main discussion. One of the way attacker attack or get into a network, this is spanning tree protocol. When two or more devices communicate each other, there is not only one path, there is multiple path, and there is also uh, root bridge. uh, the spanning tree protocol comes to stop the multiple paths. It only keep only single path and disable the other path, so anyone cannot access or get into the network. The root bridge is selected by the whole network. The root bridge is basically selected upon the switch, which one is cost friendly, that will be the root bridge. Root bridge. The attacker entered into a network, and it sends false BPDUs to the network. BPDU is basically the bridge protocol data unit. Attacker multicast the falsely configured BPDUs to the switches. Devices on the switches considered attacker switches as root bridge. Uh, to successful uh, this technique, it need two or more switches or bridges in a network. Then when the attacker is become the root, determined by the switches, it get the access to the link, and it can listen all the traffic from the victim's network. The second basic villain hopping attack. In this method, before going into deep, we need to know that VLAN means virtual local area network, and also there is a term that DTP. Virtual area VLAN is situated in our switches, and Cisco devices as a DTP. DTP means dynamic trunking protocol. When two devices, Cisco devices, connected to each other, if they are DTP enabled, they can transmit and receive each other's data among them. The attackers take this advantage to get into a network. They also, we need to know that 802.1q 802.1q is a protocol that allows traffic to go one place to another. They configure the frame. 802.1q allow the traffic to go one switches to another switch, with the network connect with the network. The attacker may basically do it sends false DTP message to the to one switches. The switch thinks that this is the legal access it wants. Then the attackers access link turned into a trunk link to the switches. When it becomes a trunk link, the attacker got the access of the network, and it can hear all the traffic coming and going into the network. The third way of attack is double tagging, VLAN hopping. In a network system, the messages basically contain additional 802.1q header. 802.1q header is two portion. One is native VLAN, and other portion is the destination VLAN info. The header with the data with the header make a frame. Then the attacker sends the uh, frame. Usually the native VLAN is exists in all the switches. In maximum network, the native VLAN is untagged. When the native VLAN and senders native VLAN is matched with each other, then the communication starts. As the maximum network's native VLAN is untagged, when attacker take this advantage, and it keeps his data's native VLAN untagged, and he make a frame and send it to the switch. As both switches native VLAN is untagged, they match each other, and the switch allows this attacker to trunk to these switches when and the data is sent to the destination. When it got the and then in that way the attacker get chance to enter the network. In double tagging VLAN hopping attack, it can perform only one direction. It can not hear all the traffic of this network. It only can hear all the traffic coming to the coming or going from the victim's network. The rest of the presentation is going to present by Afshin Maliat.
Cisco Discovery Protocol attack. Cisco Discovery Protocol is a protocol that discovers all the Cisco devices that are directly connected. CDP is by default configured in most Cisco devices and can be used to learn sensible information about the CDP sender, like its IP address, router model, etc. CDP is unauthenticated. As a result, an attacker can easily send false CDP packets, and then these CDP packets are then received by the Cisco device that is directly connected to the attacker. Thus, the attacker can now gather all the information of that device. Not only that, if a lot of false CDP packets is sent to the Cisco devices, the memory of the Cisco device runs out and eventually the device crashes. Content addressable memory table flow overflow attack. CAM table stores the MAC addresses that are available on the physical port. The layer 2 packet headers learns about the MAC addresses when frames arrive on the physical port, which is then stored in the CAM table. The CAM table can store 100 to 10,000 MAC addresses simultaneously. This stays in the CAM table for 5 minutes. If a host does not send frames towards the port, the entries will be removed after 5 minutes. The switch forwards the frame to the MAC address port designated in the CAM table. If the MAC address does not exist, switch now acts like a hub and forwards the frame out to every other port on the switch. The attacker takes advantage of the CAM table's size. It sends numerous false MAC addresses. As a result, and the number of MAC addresses become larger than the table's capacity. We say an overflow has occurred. A CAM overflow attack turns a switch into a hub. So now the attacker can get access to every host that is on the corporate network. The attacker can eavesdrop on the communication and perform man-in-the-middle attack. MAC spoofing attack or ARP poisoning. MAC spoofing is performed on the data link layer. Here what the attacker does is that it sends a gratuitous ARP to the network. GRP is used by hosts to announce their IP addresses to the local network and avoid duplicate IP addresses on the network. The devices connected to the local area network or the virtual area network maintain a cache which contains the IP addresses and their corresponding MAC addresses for each entry. Computers, routers, and other network hardware may use cache information gained from gratuitous ARP. Because ARP is unauthenticated, ARP replies on a network. ARP replies can also come from other systems. The whole process of making a false entry in the ARP cache of a device is called the ARP poisoning. In one common attack, the attacker says is that he is a default gateway, so that the users send their traffic through the attacker rather than the actual default gateway. The attacker then forwards this user traffic to the real default gateway so that the clients do not notice any change in their network access. If attacker is fast enough, he can capture the traffic and modify them. Dynamic host configuration protocol starvation attack. Dynamic host configuration protocol is a client to server protocol that is used to configure devices so that they are able to communicate with each other in a computer network. A query is sent by the DHCP client to the DHCP client to the DHCP server for important information like IP addresses, default gateway, etc. When the server receives a valid request, it sends this client the IP addresses and the necessary IP parameters. DHCP starvation attack is a special kind of attack where the attacker sends a lot of queries to the DHCP server with fake MAC addresses. If a lot of queries are sent to the DHCP server, then it can exhaust all the available DHCP address. Now the DHCP server will not be able to serve the client. Then the network attacker can set up a rogue DHCP server on the network and reply modified IP configurations to the victims. Wireless 802.11 Wi-Fi attack. It is very easy to hack an Wi-Fi than Ethernet network because there is no physical medium involved. Wi-Fi can be, an attacker can easily put himself between the server and the client, can do the denial of service attack, and is able to capture all the traffic. As the technology is getting better, as IT and communication equipments like mobile phones are becoming a very important part of our life, the probability of getting hacked by attackers is also climbing. The attackers are getting access to information of our private life, critical infrastructures of industries and the country. Research has been going on how to solve these data link layer attacks. Thank you.